Breithaupt, who's been with us this past week for the Bach Institute Drum Camp, 2017, our first year, and we're thrilled to have had him here this week. Thanks to Bob, and getting any feedback from him from his experience here with the camp, at the Institute, in Lebanon, in general.
Well, this has been a fantastic experience. I mean, it's a beautiful country, first of all. I mean, it just, you know, I've heard that, and actually, you know, if you're from the States, you hear about the Middle East, and of course you think about the heat, and you need to think about the sand, but I had also heard over the years about the beauty of certain parts of the Middle East, Lebanon being one, Syria being another, and that has certainly been the case, not only in terms of the country, but the people. My wife's here with me, and we've just been very struck by the warmth of the people and the beauty of the country, and we're going to see a little bit more of it over the next couple of days, which I'm very excited about. But beyond that, I think that probably the thing that struck me the most musically about being here, and we talked about this a couple nights ago, is how the level of the student, the level of the participant, the top, there's always going to be a pecking order in terms of the group, but the top players, if you will, within the group that came were equal to any of the top group of players who were a part of any of our workshops back in the States during the 25 or 26 years that we were doing workshops of this type from 1980 until around 2006. And then certainly other workshops that I've done around that. I mean, we did our drum set workshops from 1980 to 2006, of which you were a part of a number of them, and so you know, that I think that is what has impressed me the most: the ability, the interaction, the level of understanding on the part of these students here, which hasn't always been the case as I've done other workshops around the world, whether it be Europe or, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but places, South America, Europe, whatnot. It hasn't always been Asia, hasn't always been the case where the understanding and the commitment or the facility, if you will, of the players has been what it is here. Certainly not. I mean, this is a very high level of understanding of the music and really this instrument, and I think a lot of that has to do with the nature of the music here, and I believe in more recent past, I think a fair amount of it has to do with your ability to bring some information to these people that hasn't been here before. And I say that because I sense it. I say it also because I've heard it from the students themselves. So it's just not a commercial. It's legit.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. To respond to that, I have to say everyone here has been so happy with your presence, with your sharing of your knowledge, with your general good nature and diplomacy in this case. And I'm so glad that you and your wife could be here together and enjoy the mountain and food and spend some time to get to know the people and the culture a bit. And we appreciate what you just said and what you've done for us this week, and we hope it's the first of many adventures for you here in the country.
Well, I hope so. This is it'd be wonderful to be able to come back in any capacity, really, and because it's just fantastic. It's just a fantastic part of the world. And you know, not to get too political here, but I think that anyone knows this. The more we travel, the more we understand how close we really are. You know, we drive down the street and we see a picture of this politician or that politician. You say, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy?" And they see a picture of our politicians back home, and they say, "Well, what's with this guy and what's with that guy?" And at the end of the day, we all laugh about these people who we see these pictures, and we all really bond with each other in terms of what life is all about, and that is living and having fun and having a family and traveling and getting to know one another and realizing that most of this other stuff is silly, and we're really just here to have fun and live life and enjoy ourselves and try to do our best.
Very well said, very eloquently said. Before you go back to whatever it is you're doing in the States, could you tell us about the rest of your summer? What's on the
Well,
for you?
yeah, I go back home immediately and do 2 weeks of a graduate program that I administer at Catholic University in Columbus, Ohio, for which we have one of our new students here that's in our program this summer. I do that, and then play a couple of concerts with our jazz orchestra at the Columbus Zoo. It's a very famous zoo in the United States. There's a guy by the name of Jack Hanna, who's our zookeeper, who's known sort of around the country and certainly around the world. I do some concerts there every summer. Then I leave and go to back out to the coolness of Colorado for a festival performance with an orchestra out there, and do a little traveling into the heat of Texas for a week, and then back home and get ready to start the academic year at Capitol, and get to do a lot of traveling through the year. I perform with a great artist by the name of Byron Stripling, who conducts the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, but is also one of the great Pops Orchestra stars in the United States, hopefully soon across the globe. But we do a lot of traveling. I'm very busy with him. So my life is sort of a combination of university teaching, some administration, and touring and performing in Columbus, doing some contracting in Columbus, business things, and then touring on the road. So it's a very busy life, but I enjoy it very much, and certainly hope to continue to travel, around the country and perhaps back here. Back over here performing and teaching too. It would be a thrill for all of us here to see you perform with an artist like that as well. I know that you also do some administrative work in the educational field. Could you maybe address some of that? Well, for many years I've been involved in administration, and both in terms of arts administration, the not-for-profit arts organizations, but educationally. So I do some, I'm a department chair back home, and then I do some consulting work with curriculum development and what's called strategic planning, which is a matter of planning for organizations, educational organizations, and some business, mostly education, not-for-profit organizations. I was an organizational executive director for 11 years with an organization called the Jazz Arts Group of Columbus, and then I was also the president of an organization called the Percussive Arts Society, a volunteer role. I'm vice president of an worldwide organization now called the Jazz Education Network. It's another volunteer role. So I kind of find myself being asked to be a part of this stuff, and so I enjoy that kind of work. It's you don't get paid for it. I mean, you get paid for the consultations, but for the volunteer work, it's volunteer work. It's just. But you do that to try to move the dial a little bit, move things along, and help things out. And over time, that we hope that is the case.
Well, I'm sure with those kind of efforts and all those years and all of your experience teaching, performing, and administrating, that you've contributed a lot to moving the dial forward, and I think we'll reap the benefits from that as a percussive community for many years to come.
Well, I hope so, and it's I had the opportunity, of course, this afternoon to talk about the word "we" when it comes to the percussion community. And we're bound together by, not only what we talked about before in terms of culture, but we're also bound together by the fact that we are drummers, okay? We can call ourselves tabla players or marimba players or drum set players or vibraphone players or taiko players or whatever, but at the end of the day, we're still all drummers. We hit things to make music, okay? And to me, that is, that's what makes us really, well, depending on who you talk to, crazy, fun, nuts, but it's something we all have in common. And so if we can find a way to communicate better with one another and recognize our similarities and differences as drummers and percussionists, I think that's great. And the world is getting smaller, that's for sure. It's getting smaller in terms of the internet, but it's getting smaller in terms of music as well. We recognize our differences, but we have means today through the internet and travel to recognize how different we are, but also attempt to try to understand what's similar. And that's pretty exciting, because really up until just a very few years ago, you could live a life as a drummer or a percussionist and not even be aware of our cousins in other parts of music. And that's unfortunate, and fortunately we're able to, if we want, to find out more. If we choose to learn more, that's up to us, but at least the information is there, and that's great.
Speaking of hitting things, you've got some beautiful things you've been hitting all week, and I know that we've had some help with different organizations and people to get you here. So if you could maybe talk about
talk about first, you know, what I hit them with. Okay. And those are my sticks. I've got great support from a company by the name of Innovative Percussion from Nashville, Tennessee. I have a couple of drumsticks there that I've designed, and they've been nice enough to produce them. And there are other folks who have also designed their sticks, and they produce those. But it's a very unique company. It's a very high quality product. But the interesting thing about this company is it is rooted in the concept of education. Okay, every person on the roster is an educator of some sort. They may not be a full-time educator like me or a big part of their, but they have at the root of their background and their interest education, because the guys that founded the company and are key in the company are educators themselves. So that's Innovative Percussion from Nashville, and we hope that their presence will be growing here in the Mideast, and certainly in this region. And so that's the sticks. The drum heads, I'm a Remo endorser, and appreciate their support. Of course, Remo has been around since in the late 1950s. They were the ones that were responsible for developing the plastic or synthetic drum head, and then expanding over the years into a large presence in world percussion, manufactured world percussion. So whether from various parts of the world, and particularly important in percussion as a community building tool for medical, for drum circles, and for that sort of thing. A big presence in the United States, but also a big worldwide presence too. And so the patriarch, or the founder of the company, Remo Belli, just passed here in the last year. But one of his big goals was to continue the worldwide reach of his products, and I think we're certainly trying to do that. And then finally, I'm an endorser of Sabian cymbals. Sabian has been around actively since 1981, using the traditions of Turkish cymbal making and the hand hammering that was a part of that tradition. Okay, there are different companies that will have a hammered product, but it will be a machine hammered product. Okay, Sabian will do some machine hammering, but they employ a group of artisan cymbal makers and who actually hammer the cymbals. And what that does is to temper or change the sound of the cymbal. And so I'm proud to say that the cymbals that I have here, this is for those people who are interested. This is among their top of the line cymbals. This is the artisan cymbal, the one that is the most handmade, the most hand hammered. This is what's called a 3-point ride, and what that means is that there's three distinct tones. I'm sorry. 3 points on the cymbal where you can play. This is a cymbal called an HHX, which is a little bit brighter sounding cymbal. I started with this, the artisan. When a cymbal is hammered, typically the more it's hammered, the more complex the tones are. And so oftentimes jazz artists will enjoy a cymbal that has a complex set of tones because it mixes with the horn players in the ensemble. And then this set of hi-hats that I have is a version of the artisan hi-hats here. They're very unique in that there's a multiple set of overtones that are going there, and oftentimes when we have multiple overtones, we have the ability for the cymbals to project and mix with ensemble as well. So I love these cymbals. I love the cymbals that are produced by the company. This particular set, they all work together, and when they were traveling around the world and lost on an airplane before I got here, I was very nervous about that. So, but they made it, and nothing broken, and so we're happy about that.
Yeah, thankfully they did, and the gorgeous sounds we got to hear all week. Yes. And what about these drums here? You're a Yamaha endorser too? Or?
Well, yes, and the Yamaha products. I've been a Yamaha endorser since the 1980s, and certainly appreciate the support of Yamaha and the support of the local dealer, Mozart Shaheen, okay, for helping us obtain this set of Yamaha drums. Yamaha is a worldwide company, and with centers in certainly in Japan, and manufacturing in Taiwan and China, and then centers of distribution in the United States, in Europe, in the Middle East, Africa, and really all over the world. And but Yamaha, sort of little known fact, Yamaha is sometimes by people known more for their motorcycles, but if you look at the logo, it's 3 tuning forks. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So at the core of their business is music. Okay, 3 tuning. So if you look at the little Yamaha logo, which is hard to see, on the side of a motorcycle or on the side of a lawnmower, okay, it has 3 tuning forks in it. So that's kind of cool, actually, because you know, you're not going to be able to find a tractor that has a musical note in their logo, right? But here we have that. So, but I've been a Yamaha artist for drums and percussion. Back at the university, we have a lot of their gear. But I love the product because it's forward thinking, but it's solid, and it's home base for me. The hardware, you know, I could come here. Last week, 2 days before I was here, I was in Vail, Colorado. Okay, and I played the drums, Yamaha drum set in Vail, Colorado with the with the Dallas Symphony, and I sat down to that set, and I'm in Vail, Colorado. It's a Yamaha set, and I travel halfway across the world. I sit down, and the same hardware is there, and it's a couple of adjustments, and boom, I'm ready to go. So that is what has been the case with this product for all these many years. So yes, so the 4 companies that I endorse and involved with: Innovative Percussion, Remo, Sabian, and Yamaha.
Fantastic. I have to say that because I'm also an innovative artist, I particularly love your sticks, and I use those, and also the Ed Sof model too. Mm-hmm. And I find the brushes really, really easy to use and expressive. So on my behalf too, I want to thank Innovative for their support and future collaborations in this region. Is there anything else at this point you would like to say?
I think the only thing I'd like to say is that I hope that this and other kinds of workshops like this continue. I think that I've mentioned this more than once since I've been here. The musical culture and heritage of this area is unbelievable. I mean, we are staying up on the top of a mountain, and especially on the weekend, we can hear the music and the parties and so forth flowing up from some of the party houses downtown, and you know, I believe that just like we always do in any culture, we have a tendency to take our own culture for granted, and I sense that a little bit here. But it's like this is a rich culture, but an incredibly rich musical culture. And for a drummer, this is a great place to grow up because of the tradition of oral and aural, learning how we use how the voice is used to create music and rhythms. And so I just think it's great. I'm excited about the young people that I've met and the young players that I've met here. I'm particularly excited about how ingrained they are professionally in this huge city and the opportunities that exist for them. And I'm also excited about how quickly and how well integrated you and the Institute are in the scene here. And I think that will do nothing but grow over time.
I hope so. If someone wants to continue learning from you, do you have any books or videos that they can check out?
Well, I've got a snare drum video that was produced by Hudson Music a number of years ago called Snare Drum Basics. I've got a standard sort of European, if you will, percussion book called The Complete Percussionist, which is really, it's used a lot in the States for instructional, as people are learning band and orchestra and instruments. I've got that. I've just completed on the internet a series of short videos for Innovative about stick choice and relative to cymbals, and then probably some other things coming down the road. I'm talking about a new drum set book here sometime within next year, but that hasn't been settled yet. So
we'll look forward to that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough again on behalf of myself, the Bach Institute, and the drumming community here in Lebanon. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you back here very soon.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's been a real pleasure. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.